I get a lot of questions about anterior pelvic tilt and the associated movement restrictions, limitations, and potentially even pain and discomfort they feel might be associated with this position of their pelvis. While we do know there's not a lot of evidence that suggests posture is directly correlated with pain, we do know that if you have a lack of mobility and you have a lack of the ability to get into certain positions that your body needs to accomplish a task or walk or really do anything upright, then we're going to find compensations. And depending on the person, if these compensations build up over time, then that can lead to some issues. So if you want to improve your anterior pelvic tilt, here's what you got to keep in mind. The first thing is we got to get the back extensors to relax and let go. There's so much tension pushing our pelvis forward, and a lot of that is coming from the back itself. So we need to be able to find some flexion and breathe into that, and then be able to open up this back rib cage. This needs to open up under normal breathing mechanics, because if it doesn't, we're going to just breathe forward all the time. And if we breathe forward, then pressure is going forward all the time. The other thing is we're going to need some hamstrings that attach right here to help pull the pelvis back alongside our deep abs that attach on the rib cage and the pelvis itself, which when they contract will come together and pull that pelvis back too. And finally, we need consistency. We need to be doing drills every day if we really care about improving this, because if we just do 1 to 2 sets once or twice a week, then that's not going to give our body a reason to change. Depending on the person, I would suggest somewhere between 2 to 4 sets of 5 breath cycles for each of these exercises. Do that for a couple of weeks and then see what happens. So we need to start in a position here where we have just our mid back pretty much up against that wall, and we're going to peel off of it by reaching low with our palms up. It's very important that we also have our feet flat and our knees in line with our feet and also our hips. So Trevor's gonna really reach here, and I don't want anyone to be afraid of not reaching enough. We want to really, really reach and flex and round our back. As we exhale, we need to feel those side abs engage, so get all the air out, and he's going to feel those side abs engage upon a full exhalation of about 5 to 10 seconds. He's going to pause, close his mouth, and inhale through his nose, keeping that tension in his side abs, and he's going to still keep reaching as he inhales. He doesn't want to stand up as he inhales. We want to really keep the reach throughout that entire inhale, and he's going to feel his back right in here open up. To set up for this, we need a ball which is going to allow us to keep our knee in line with our hip, but we also want to start with these feet slightly outside of our knees. This is that passive internal rotation aspect of this activity here. Now, the degree of which you are in this passive internal rotation should not be overly significant, so we're not way out here. We should just be maybe 10 to 15 degrees of internal rotation. So about here is what we're going to be looking for. Now, what we're going to do here is place our hands on our low ribs, maintaining contact of the foot, and this is really important, of the heel and also this base of the big toe where the ball of the foot is here, and not losing this lateral toe right here, but focusing on this part right here and the inner heel. And we're going to keep our foot on the wall, and on both sides we're going to think about dragging down on the wall with that inner aspect of the foot where the foot arch would be, and that'll naturally tuck our hips off of the ground slightly. So the tailbone comes slightly off of the floor, and we should feel our inner hamstring muscles as we do that. And now what we're going to do is just maintain this position, exhale through our mouth, big open mouth sigh, for about 5 to 10 seconds, keeping our stomach relaxed. And the only reason why we feel any tension whatsoever is because we are getting recruitment of our side abs through that long, extended, and soft exhale. That's why it's 5 to 10 seconds long. And then we're going to maintain a slight amount of tension in those side abs as we inhale through our nose, keeping our mouth closed. And that's going to expand our chest and our back. And that's exactly what we're looking for there, all the while maintaining those foot pressures and feeling those inner hamstrings on both sides. If you're having a hard time feeling your hamstrings, you can set up a shelf for yourself like this, but it's really important to make sure that you are A, still in a 90-90 position, and B, keeping your whole foot on the wall, because we're trying to still feel those foot pressures on the wall. If your feet are off of a wall and you're just digging into a chair or a sofa or something like that, then you're not going to be able to create that reference of the arch of the foot, working with the inner hamstrings, working with the pelvic position that we're looking for. So it's very important that we are maintaining foot pressure on a wall here.
To set up for this, we want to be in about a 90-90 position, meaning a 90-degree bend at both our hips and our knees. Now, Trevor, what I want you to do is I want you to give me a nice exhale, feeling your whole foot flat on that wall as you dig down on that wall with your heels, and you're going to create a little bit of a tuck as you lift your hips slightly off the ground. The tuck should come from the hamstrings, not because we're trying to crunch down excessively. Good. Now what I want you to do is pull this leg back. Good. You should not feel a pinch in the hip, only as far back as you can get without feeling a pinch. Now reach this arm towards the ceiling and this arm overhead at about 140-ish degrees. And then what I want you to do is I want you to give me a nice exhale. Every exhale you do, you're trying to bring this leg back a little bit more and get your hips slightly higher in the air. Now upon that exhale, I want him feeling the inner edge of his foot arch on this wall. That would be the knuckle of the big toe right here and the inner heel. That's going to give him pressure to push into the wall and dig down. And that should give him a good bit of glute max on this downside hip right here. And as he inhales, he's gonna keep reaching with this arm. And upon the next exhale, this leg's gonna come back a little bit further. These hips are gonna get slightly higher in the air, but he's not losing that contact of the ball of the big toe and also the heel on this wall. So as he gets higher and higher in the air with each subsequent exhale, he's feeling a good bit of that glute on this leg right here. He should feel no pinch on his hip flexor on this flexed leg right here. If he does, he's probably coming back too far and needs to back off a little bit. A common mistake in this activity is people will start with their hips too high in the air. And now they're gonna be at their in-range hip position instead of working their way into it with the breath and with the foot pressure on the wall. So if you're starting with your hips super high in the air, A, you're more likely to extend your low back, but B, you're already in the end range position, which we want to work up to. So make sure that as this leg is being pulled off the wall, you do have that tuck created via the pressure on the wall, but you're also not going to be in a massive amount of that hip extension at first. We want to work into it via the breath. The other thing we see is people feel a pinch in this side leg or whatever leg is flexed. So as he brings this leg back, he's going to end up feeling that uncomfortable pinch in the front side of his hip. And if that's him, then we know that we're probably starting with this hip in too much flexion. So we want to start a little bit further back. And with each exhale, you want to keep pushing into that wall, extend your hip a little bit more, and then have that come back slowly. If you can only move back an inch at a time with each exhale, that's fine. That's certainly better than nothing. But make sure that you're working into whatever you are comfortable with.